Just a couple of my bunny bears hanging out at my little studio, getting their pictures taken, and becoming the main event of a full tutorial. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make these fantastic artisan bears, bunny bears. Perfect for any season, particularly springtime. They have bunny slippers, and they are miniature. Best of all, you can make them with your standard medium weight size 4 worsted yarn. My name is Sig, and what a pleasure it is to have you with me at this time today. It's your interest and support that allows me to contribute new content and weekly videos. Help us all grow together by tapping the subscribe bar, notification bell, and like buttons. I look forward to your comments and always value your feedbacks. Now let's get started. You will need at minimum 4 colors of yarn: a white yarn, a pink yarn, a main color yarn, and an accent color yarn. You will also need a size E hook, a doll needle, a tapestry needle, a pair of jewelry pliers, scissors, and stuffing. The next items listed are optional in that it's more a matter of taste or what you may have available that determines how you proceed from here. For example, you may choose to use embroidery floss instead of safety eyes and noses. Stitch markers are great for keeping track of your count, but you may choose not to use them. Pins are a great way to hold components of your piece in place while you're sewing it on. And then, of course, a variety of buttons or safety eyes if you choose to use those instead of sewing them on with your embroidery floss. So to begin with this project, I wanted to start with the muzzle. And the muzzle for my bunny bear, I'm using my accent color, which in this case, my accent color happens to be this lavender color. Yours may be different. It really just depends on the yarn that you've chosen to use. So we're going to begin with an adjustable ring. And in this adjustable ring, I'm going to go ahead and I am going to single crochet 5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if you didn't already notice, I am actually doing this project using yarn unders instead of yarn overs when I make my stitch. Now, for those of you who don't know, a yarn over is when you pull your yarn over the top of your hook and you pull it through to create your stitch. And that is typically the way you would want to do it. But with this bear, I want to use a yarn under technique. So that means the yarn comes under my hook and then I pull it through that way. This gives me a tighter stitch. So as you can see, this project is going to be on the tight side. I'm using a smaller hook than I normally might use for a medium 4 worsted yarn. And I'm also doing a yarn under technique, which is going to make my stitches tight. And that's okay. That's what I want because I don't want additional holes or the fabric pulling loose in places and being able to see the stuffing very well. That I'm trying to avoid. So I've got my 5 single crochets on my adjustable ring. Next thing I want to do is I want to go and do 2 single crochets into each stitch. So my second round will give me a total of 10 stitches. So again, it's yarn under. I'm going to pull that through for my single crochet once and for my single crochet twice in that same stitch. And I'm going to do 2 single crochets in each stitch, yarn under. Again, leaving me with a total of 10 stitches when I've completed round 2. Also keep in mind that as we work in the round, I am continuing working in a straight spiral, and that's pretty much how I will work with all the components of this bear unless otherwise stated. This is why your stitch markers may or may not be important to you. You may want to use your stitch markers in order to keep your count, because if you get distracted, it's so much easier to know where you're at when you've placed your stitch markers appropriately. Otherwise, if you're not going to use your stitch marker, that's fine. For these smaller components like the muzzle, I'm not going to, but when I get to making the body, yes, then I will use a stitch marker for that. Okay, so now that we've completed round 2, I'm going to move on to round 3. And round 3, I'm going to do a single crochet in the next stitch, and then I'm going to do an increase in the stitch after that. So that'll be 1 and 2. In the next stitch, I'm going to do a single crochet. And then the stitch after that, I'm going to do an increase. Again. I'm following that pattern all the way around. I end up with a total of 15 stitches on my third round. Now for rounds 4 through 5, rounds 4 and 5, I'm going to just do a single crochet in each stitch. So each one of those rounds is going to also end up with 15 stitches. (14) 15. So now that I've completed my 5th row and I've ended with a count of 15, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slip stitch in that next stitch. And then I'm going to finish off the work for my muzzle. And I'm going to leave a bit of a tail because this is what I'm going to use to sew my muzzle on. So I've completed the muzzle, and because I still have my lavender colored yarn out, I'm going to continue making the various components that I would want to have in my accent color. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the paw pads, and you're going to need 2 of these. And I'm going to begin by chaining 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Next thing I want to do is single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And then I'm going to single crochet 3 more times. And then in this next chain, I'm going to single crochet 3 single crochets right in that chain. Then I'm going to single crochet 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to continue working this in a round. And so in my next single crochet stitch, I'm going to go ahead and do my next single crochet. And then I'm going to single crochet 1, 2, and 3. And then the next stitch, I'm going to increase. So that'll be 2 single crochets in that next stitch. Then a single crochet in the stitch after that. And then an increase in the stitch after that. And then I'm going to single crochet 4 more. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut myself off a bit of a tail, because I'm also going to use this tail to sew my piece on. I'm just going to go ahead and slip stitch that right on in there just to finish it off. And that is basically my paw pad. Now the next thing I'm going to do that is in my accent color is the belly patch. And again, I'm going to do an adjustable ring, and I'm going to single crochet 6 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then in round 2, I'm going to do an increase in each stitch. So round 2 will leave me with a total of 12 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 11, and 12. Now for round 3, I'm going to want to end up with a count of 18. So the pattern is going to be 1 single crochet and then an increase. Then we'll continue that until we've completed round 3 and 18 stitches. Now for round 4, we want to end with a total of 24 stitches. And that pattern is going to be a single crochet twice and then an increase. So a single crochet once, a single crochet twice, and then an increase. So one more time, and single crochet once, single crochet in the next stitch, so twice, and then in the next stitch an increase, which is 2 single crochets together. So now for round 5, we're going to do things just a little differently. And for the first stitch in round 5, we're going to do a half double crochet. Then a single crochet, next a single crochet, and then an increase. And then a single crochet 3 times, and then an increase. A single crochet 3 times, and then an increase. I'm going to do that 2 more times. So single crochet 3 times, and then an increase. And single crochet 3 times. And then an increase. Okay, so now I want to do a single crochet 3 times. And then the next stitch is going to be an increase. However, we're going to have a single crochet and a half double crochet in that same stitch. And that will finish our row 5. And that gives us a total of 30 stitches in this row. Now for round 6, I'm going to begin with a double crochet in the next stitch. And then a half double crochet in the stitch after that. And a single crochet in the stitch after that. And then a single crochet. And then an increase. So the increase is going to be the 2 single crochets together in that same stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to increase. I'm going to single crochet 4. 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to increase. And I'm going to single crochet 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to increase. And then again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to increase. Then I'm going to single crochet 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to increase with half double crochets. So that'll be 1, and then 2. Now in the next stitch, and this is the beginning of round 7, I'm going to put 3 double crochets into that stitch. So that'll be 1, 2, and 3. And then in the stitch after that, I'm going to put in 2 half double crochets. So that'll be 1 and 2. And then I'm going to single crochet 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to increase. And then I'm going to single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to increase 2, or sorry, just an increase 2 single crochets together in that same stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then I'm going to increase. And then I'm going to single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I'm going to single crochet 2 together. Makes that increase. And then I'm going to single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I'm going to do one more increase, 1 and 2. And then I'm going to slip stitch right there. I'm going to cut off a nice long tail. Because I'm going to use this again to sew onto my bear's belly. So now the last thing I'm going to make in this light purple, my accent color, is going to be the brow. I'm going to begin by chaining 21 stitches. Two. Now that I have a chain of 21, I'm going to insert my hook into that second chain from the hook, and I'm going to single crochet 20 single crochets. Now once you've done that, go ahead and finish it off, leaving yourself with a tail again for sewing. Next, we're going to move on to the pink. So now we're moving on to the pink yarn. And I began by cutting myself 2 6-inch long pieces of the pink yarn. And I'm going to set that aside because we're going to use that in here in just a moment when we make the bunny ear headband for the bear. And so I'm going to begin the bunny ear headband by making the inside pink parts of the bunny ears. And so we're going to begin by chaining 12. 1, 2, 11, and 12. And we're going to need 2 of these. So we're going to need to make 2 of these inner pink bunny ears. I'm going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook. And then I'm going to single crochet in the next 9 stitches. So 1 and 9. Now in this last chain I'm going to single crochet 3. So 1, 2, and 3. I'm then going to single crochet into the next 10 chains, just on the opposite side. And once I've completed that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just slip stitch and fasten that off. Now I've already made one in advance, so we're going to move right on over to the white yarn now. Okay, so now I've switched over to the white, and I'm going to set this aside just for a moment. And just like what we did with the pink, we're going to do the exact same thing with the white, except we won't fasten off. After we get to that point, then I'll show you what else to do. So again, we're going to chain 12. So 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We're going to skip a stitch, and we're going to single crochet in the second stitch from the hook. And we're going to do it 9 more times, 9 more single crochets. And in that last chain, I'm going to single crochet 3 times. And then I'm going to single crochet 10. Okay, so now that we've done to the white pretty much what we've done to the pink, except for fastening off, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to turn our work so the wrong side is facing us. And then I'm going to take my pink and I'm going to sandwich it right there on top of the white. But this time, you want the right side of the pink facing you or facing us. And then in the back loops only, we are going to single crochet each of those single crochets together there in the back loops. So I'm going to do that 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then in the next single crochet of the 2 pieces, I'm going to increase. So I'm going to single crochet 2 single crochets into that same stitch. And then in the next pair of stitches, I'm going to do 1 single crochet. And then in the next pair of stitches after that, I'm going to increase. So I'm going to do 2 single crochets into those back loops together. And next I'm going to do 10 single crochets all the way down the line to complete the rabbit ear. I'm going to leave myself a relatively long tail because I'm going to use that tail again for sewing. And so now that we got our 2 ears, So next I'm going to want to make the band or the headband that the ears sit on for our bunny bear. And I'm going to begin by making, I know it as a Romanian cord. I'm sure it goes by different names depending on who it is you talk to or depending on which part of the world you happen to be in. It's just one of those crochet techniques that I don't know that there's really a standard name for it. I know it by Romanian cord, so that's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to start off, and I want to leave myself a tail of about 3 inches long. And you'll understand why here in a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to insert it into that second chain, or sorry, into that third chain from the hook. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull my yarn through. So I now have 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull that through, and now I have 1 loop on my hook. I'm going to take my work and I'm going to make a quarter turn away from me. And now I can see I have these 2 legs right here. I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to insert it into those 2 legs. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull that yarn through both of those legs. So now I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to take that yarn, I'm going to pull it through, and now I have 1 loop. I'm going to make a quarter turn of my work away from me, and now I'm looking at 2 legs again, and I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to insert it into those 2 legs. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull that yarn through those legs. Now I have 2 loops on my hook again, and I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull that yarn through, and now I have 1 loop. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a quarter turn away from me, and I'm looking at those 2 legs again. So I'm going to insert my hook into those 2 legs, yarn over, I'm going to pull that yarn through. Now I have 2 loops on my hook again. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull that through, and I have my 1 loop. I'm going to make a quarter turn away from me, and then I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook into those 2 legs there on the side. I'm going to yarn over, I'm going to pull that yarn through. I'm going to yarn over again, and I'm going to pull it through one more time. I'm going to make my work a quarter turn away from me, and then I'm going to insert my hook into those 2 legs again. Yarn over, 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, 1 loop on my hook. I'm going to continue doing just that for about 3.5 inches. Now this is 3.5 inches with the medium yarn, size 4 worsted yarn. And this is going to work out perfectly for this size of bear. Now, depending on what size yarn you're using or what thread you're using, you may have to, of course, adjust the length of this to fit the bear's head. So I'm going to continue doing this, and I'm going to, again, make this the length of about 3.5 inches, and then I'll be right back with you to show you what we need to do next. Okay, so now that I've got my cord at about 3.5 inches long, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut myself a tail. And then I'm just going to go ahead and pull that through. Now we're going to add the pink yarn that we cut about 6+ inches of. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my yarn. Well, first I'm going to insert my hook, right about there at the base. And then I'm going to pull that yarn through. So now I've got my 3 strands, and what I'm going to do is I am now going to braid them. Now you might need to pin that end down so that you can pull it taut while you braid it, and I'm going to do that here in just a second, and then you'll see what that looks like once that's finished. But that'll give us our little tie ends off the bunny ear headband. So now that we have our band and our ears finished, we're going to set these aside until we get ready to assemble our bear. Now, still using our white yarn, we're going to move on to the bunny slippers. We're going to want 2 of these, of course. So for the bunny slippers, we're going to go ahead and chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'm going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Then I'm going to single crochet 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to do a half double crochet. And the stitch after that, I'm going to do 2 half double crochets together in that same stitch. So 1, and then 2. And then in this last stitch, I'm going to do 5 half double crochets there at the end. And 5. And then next stitch, going down the other side, I'm going to do 2 half double crochets. And then in the stitch after that, I'm going to do 1 half double crochet. And then I'm going to do 5 single crochets. And then I'm going to do 2 single crochets in that last stitch. So that's the completion of round. Now for round 2, I'm going to go into the next stitch and I'm going to do 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. Then I'm going to single crochet in the next 8 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then I'm going to do 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. 1 and 2. And then a half double crochet in the stitch after that. And then the next stitch I'm going to do 2 half double crochets. 1 and 2. And then in the next I'm going to do a half double crochet. 1. And then the next stitch I'm going to do a half double crochet twice. 1 and 2. And I'm going to do a single crochet in the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. On the next stitch, I'm going to do 2 single crochets, 1 and 2. And then in the stitch after that, I'm going to do 1 single crochet, 1. Now for round 3. In round 3, I'm going to begin by doing 2 single crochets in the same stitch, 1 and 2. And then I'm going to make a single crochet in the next 9 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Then I'm going to do 2 half double crochets in the next stitch, okay, so 2, and then in the stitch after that, 1 half double crochet, and then in the stitch after that, 2 half double crochets. And then in the stitch after that, 2 half double crochets, and then the next stitch, 1 half double crochet, and then in the stitch after that, 2 half double crochets, and the stitch after that, 1 half double crochet, and then the next stitch I'll need 2 half double crochets in that one, and then 1 half double crochet in the stitch after that, and then 2 half double crochets in the stitch after that. And then I will single crochet in the next 9 stitches. So 1, 8, and 9. So now you should have a total of 36 in this round, round 3. Now for rounds 4 through 6, so that's round 4, 5, and 6, you're going to single crochet in each one of these stitches, ending with a total of 36 stitches in each round. For round 7, I'm going to begin by single crocheting 11. So 1 and 11. So now I'm going to do a single crochet decrease, and I'm going to do an invisible decrease for this rabbit. So anytime I do a decrease on this rabbit, it's going to be an invisible decrease. If you're not sure what that is, I do have a video on that under the how to crochet. Otherwise, you can maybe see what I'm doing here as far as the invisible decrease is concerned. So again, I'm going to go ahead and do the decrease. And then next I'm going to do a half double crochet. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to do a double crochet decrease. So I'm going to try to go a little slow here so you can kind of see what I'm doing if you're not entirely sure. In the next stitch, I'm going to do a double crochet. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to do a double crochet decrease. And then another double crochet. And I'm going to do a double crochet decrease again. And a half double crochet in the next stitch. And then a single crochet decrease. And then 8 single crochets. And then 1 more single crochet decrease. That brings us right back to the heel of our foot, our slipper. Now for round 8. In round 8, we're going to start by doing 10 single crochets. So 1, 2, 9, and 10. And then I'm going to do a single decrease 5 times. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I want to single crochet 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And now for my 9th round and the last round that I'm doing white on for the slipper, I want to single crochet 7. So 1, 2, 3, and 7. Next, I want to single crochet decrease again, and I want to do it 6 times. So it's going to be 1, 2, 5, and then 6. And we're going to single crochet 5. Doing it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you should finish with a count of 18. And this is the end of the white on the slipper part of the shoe, or I should say the bear's foot. But I'm going to just set this aside for a minute. And of course, we want 2 of these. And now I'm going to show you how to quickly make the rabbit ears for these slippers. And you're going to want 4 of these. So I'm going to make an adjustable ring. In that adjustable ring, I'm going to single crochet 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And tighten my ring. And then for rounds 2 through 4, I'm going to do a single crochet in each of the single crochets. So each round is going to have 6. Next, you're going to single crochet decrease 3 times. Then you're going to cut yourself off a bit of a tail because you're still going to use this to sew. And you're just going to pull that on through. And you've got your bunny slipper ears. So as you can see, like there. And you're going to need 4 of these. So the next thing we want to do is we want to actually address, or at least start getting the face on the bunny slippers, because it's going to be a little easier to do it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take some stuffing and I'm going to get the foot filled. So I got mostly the toe part of the foot. And then I'm going to start figuring out about where I want my face to be. So as we had discussed before, what's optional, right? If you were going to embroider the nose and the eyes on, this would be the time to do it. I have opted to use safety nose and eyes, so I'm going to bring those out and I'm going to glue mine on. And now I like to just bring it up just a little bit towards the top part of the foot, but not so far back that I'm not going to have room to put my ears. Now you'll decide where you want your face to go. So far we've used white yarn, pink yarn, our accent yarn, which in my case was the light lavender color. And now it's time to use our main color yarn. And for me, that's going to be this dark plum purple. And where I'm going to begin with that is I'm going to begin with that on the leg. And to begin the leg, I'm going to tie it into the bunny slipper. So we're going to pretty much pick up where we left off on the bunny slipper. And because I want to tie this color in, I'm going to gently pull out this one part of the stitch just halfway and insert my hook. And then I'm going to tie in my plum. Next, I'm going to want to single crochet 18. So basically a single crochet in each stitch. However, for this, I want to single crochet in the back loop only for this first round of the purple or main color of yarn on the leg. Remember to yarn under. I know I don't always do that in this tutorial. It's kind of something I don't regularly do, so my autopilot wants me to go yarn over. And I know I catch myself sometimes, and I'm sure sometimes I didn't catch myself doing the yarn over. But we want to try to remember it's yarn under for this particular project. That will yield us the best results. I mean, you can go yarn over if you want, but you're going to have a much better result going yarn under. So for my round one of my main color, I now have 18 single crochets, back loop only, connected to my slipper. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to single crochet, and then I'm going to decrease, a single crochet decrease. And I'm going to do that same pattern 6 times. So that's 1, single crochet, and then a single crochet decrease. That's 2, single crochet, and a single crochet decrease. That's 3, 6. Brings me right back to the heel of my foot. Now for the third round of my leg, I'm going to single crochet 12 single crochets. So I'm going to do a single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. Now for round 4 of my main color, I'd like to do an increase. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch. 1 and 2. And then I'm going to single crochet 5. Then I'm going to increase 2 single crochets in that same stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet 5 more. And now for rows 5 to 7, I'm going to single crochet in each stitch. So that'll give me 14 stitches for each row. So now that we've completed round 7, we're going to move on to round 8. And for round 8, we're going to begin to decrease again. So in this case, I'm going to decrease, do a single crochet decrease, and then I'm going to single crochet 5. And then I'm going to do another single crochet decrease, and then I'm going to single crochet 5 more. And then I'm going to move on to round 9. And this one's going to be the pattern of a single crochet, then a decrease, a single crochet, then a decrease. And we're going to do that 4 times. And once we've finished that, that will leave us with 8 stitches on our work. So right now you should have 12 stitches. And when we finish this next round, you should have 8 stitches left. So, single crochet, and then a decrease, and then a single crochet, and our last decrease. So now you should have 8 stitches. And this is a good time to stuff because we're going to start closing this up here in just a moment. So I'm going to take a minute to stuff my leg. Okay, so now that I've stuffed my leg to the firmness that I would like to have it, I'm going to do one more round. And this round, I'm going to decrease each stitch. And I'm going to do that 4 times. And cut myself off a tail, a little bit of a tail, so I can finish this leg. Now this is also a good time to sew on the bunny slipper ears. So I'm going to use the tail that I already have, and I'm going to just sew it, figure out where I want to have my ears placed, and then I'm going to weave them in. And now your finished leg and bunny slipper should look something like this. Now the next thing we want to do is to make the bear's ears. We're going to want 2 of these. And I'm going to begin the piece by doing a chain 2. And then the second chain from the hook, I'm going to make a single crochet. And then in that same chain, I'm going to make a half double crochet. And then I'm going to make a double crochet again in that same chain. And then a half double crochet, same chain. And then one more single crochet in that same chain. So that second chain should have 5 stitches in it. And so now you can see the ear shaping up. This is a pretty quick one. Then I'm going to chain 1. And I'm going to come over here to this very first single crochet that I did. And I'm going to single crochet right into that stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet into the next 4 stitches. Then I'm going to slip stitch right there in the middle bottom part of that ear. And I'm going to finish off, leaving myself a tail, a long, fairly decent sized tail, so I have something to use to sew my ear on. And that is your bear's ear. You want 2 of those. Next, we're going to crochet the arms. We're going to make 2 of these, and I'm going to begin by chaining 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then I'm going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. And then I'm going to do another single crochet in the next stitch. And then in this last stitch, I'm going to single crochet 3. So 1, 2, and 3. And then in the next stitch, I'm going to single crochet 1. And in the stitch after that, I'm going to single crochet 2 together in that same stitch. And that'll give me a total of 8 stitches. Now for round 2, I'm going to increase in the next stitch and then a single crochet in the stitch after that, and I'm going to do that pattern 4 times. So in the next stitch, I'm going to make 2 single crochets. And then the stitch after that, 1. And finish out that round. And that should give me a total of 12 stitches on round 2. Now for round 3, I'm going to single crochet in each one of those stitches, so I'll end round 3 with 12 stitches also. And now for round 4, I'm going to increase in my next stitch. So my next stitch, I'm going to single crochet 2 single crochets into that stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet a single crochet into the next 5 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then in the next stitch, I'm going to make 2 single crochets. And then I'll finish this round up with 5 more single crochets, 1 and 5. Now you should have a count of 14. And for rounds 5, 6, and 7, I'm simply going to single crochet in each single crochet. So that'll leave you a total of 14 stitches for each of those rounds for rounds 5, 6, and 7. Now for round 8, we're going to decrease twice. So this will be 1 single crochet decrease, and then the second single crochet decrease. And then I'm going to single crochet 10. And then for rounds 9 through 16, I'm going to do a single crochet in each stitch. So that'll be 12 single crochets for each round. Again, that will be for rounds 9 through 16. So by the time you finish your round 16, your arm should look something like this. And then in the next round, I'm going to start closing her up. So I'm going to make a single crochet, and then I'm going to decrease. And I'm going to do that pattern 4 times. So I will end up with a total of 8 stitches in this round. And now is a good time for me to stuff my arm. So I'll take care of that just before we finish closing this up. So now that I have this stuffed to the firmness that I want, I'm going to do 4 decreases. So now that you've finished your arm and you've woven in the ends, you should have a piece that looks like this. And then now's a good time to actually sew on your bear's paw pad. So I've already threaded my needle. I'm going to place my pad right here. So when you put your pads on, make sure that they're placed in a way that each pad is going to be facing each other. So, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to just whip stitch this on through the back loop of my paw pad. And once you sew it on and weave in your ends, you should now have an arm that looks similar to this. Next, I'm going to show you how to do the body head combo. I'm going to begin with an adjustable ring, and then single crochet, 6 single crochets in the ring. Now remember, this is all yarn under technique. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to pull our tail. And in this case, I want to try to make that hole as tight as possible, because really we don't want the hole showing for this particular project. Now for round 2, I'm going to increase. So for each stitch, each of the 6 stitches that we did previously, I am going to single crochet 2 into each stitch, and that will give me a total of 12 stitches for round 2. Now for this particular part of the tutorial, I am going to use a stitch marker, and in this case I'm just going to use a contrasting color, and thus the white yarn. Now you may choose to use a regular stitch marker that you might have, something that's more, you know, like your store-bought stitch marker. But for this particular kind of a project, I really like just using a piece of yarn. So now next we're going to just start round 3. And in round 3, we want to end up with 18 stitches. So that means we're going to need to do a combination of stitches. And so the first stitch is going to be to single crochet a single crochet in the next stitch, and then an increase in the stitch after that. So that increase will be a single crochet increase. For those of you who are unfamiliar with that, that's going to be 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And we're going to continue with that 6 times. So that combination of stitches is 1. And we'll have a single crochet, and then in the next stitch we'll have an increase. So that makes that combination 2 times that we've done that combination, and we need to do it 4 more times. Okay, now that we've completed round 3, I'm going to take my yarn that I'm using as a stitch marker, and I'm going to pull it over the next stitch before we actually crochet in it, which would also be the first stitch in the round. And since I am crocheting in a spiral, it's really important for me to use the stitch marker, because if I lose count, that's not a fun time. It's way frustrating when that happens. So in this particular situation, again, a stitch marker is definitely the way to go. Now for round 4, we want to end up with 24 stitches. So in order to get that, I'm going to need to single crochet twice and then do an increase. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and then an increase. Again, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and then an increase. So I've done that combination twice. I will need to do it 4 more times. So I'll need to do that combination a total of 6 times. Now we're going to begin round 5. And for round 5, I'm going to move my stitch marker again. And then for this next one, I want to single crochet 3 times and then do my increase. Single crochet 3 times and then do my increase. I will follow that basic pattern 6 times, and I will end up with a total count of 30 stitches. Now for round 6. Again, I'm going to pull my marker through, and then for round 6, I'm going to single crochet 2 times, and then I'm going to increase. I'm going to follow that particular pattern for 10 times to give me a total of 40 stitches. So single crochet in the next stitch, and then in that next stitch I'm going to increase. Again, single crochet, and then that next stitch I'm going to increase. So I've followed that pattern twice. I need to do it 8 more times to leave me with a total of 40 stitches for round 6. Okay, now for round 7, again, I'm going to move my marker. And then I'm going to continue to single crochet in the next 40 stitches. So basically, for rounds 7 to rounds 11, you're going to want to single crochet in each stitch. So for each of those rounds, you're going to end up with a total of 40 stitches. And I'll meet you right back here after I've completed rounds 7 through 11. So far we've crocheted 11 rounds, and now we're going to move on to the 12th round. And for the 12th round, we're going to start to decrease. So at the end of our 12th round, we will have 30 stitches available. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin by single crocheting 2, so 1, 2, and then I'm going to do a decrease. So single crochet once, and then twice, and then I'm going to do a decrease. Now, when I say decrease, I actually mean an invisible decrease. And for those of you who are just joining us right now, an invisible decrease is when I pick up just the front loop of the next stitch, and then I wrap my hook around to pick up the front loop of the next stitch to that. And then in this case, I'll yarn under and I'll pull that yarn through, and I will complete my single crochet, having used 2 of those stitches. So again, it'll be 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and then an invisible decrease. And I will do this pattern 8 more times to give me a total of 10 of the combination, which will give me an end count of 30 stitches. I'm going to move my stitch marker, and I'm going to begin round 13. Actually, rounds 13 through 15, we are just going to do a single crochet all the way around. So for those next 3 rounds, we're simply going to do a single crochet in each single crochet, and each round will consist of 30 stitches. Now we're going to begin round 16. So for round 16, we're going to do a single crochet 3 times and then a decrease. And that'll give us a count of 24. So we're going to do that for round 16. Now for round 17, we're going to just continue doing single crochets all the way around. So for that round, we'll end up with a count of 24 also. Round 18, we're going to single crochet 2 times and then do a decrease. Now that combination of stitches we're going to do 6 times to have us end this row with a count of 18 stitches. Now for round 19, we're simply going to single crochet in each stitch, and we'll end that round with a total of 18 stitches. For round 20, we're going to do the combination of a single crochet plus a decrease. We're going to do that combination 6 times, and that will have us end with a total of 12 stitches in this round. So for round 21, we are simply going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around, and that will give us an end count of 12 stitches. Also, this is the perfect time to stuff the bottom part of your body, before we continue on to round 22. Now that the body is stuffed, we're ready to move on to round 22. And so for round 22, we want to increase. So basically for each stitch, we want to put 2 single crochets in each stitch, and that will leave us with an end count of 24. For round 23, we're going to continue to increase. So this combination of stitches is going to consist of 3, or I should say single crochet 3 times plus an increase. And we're going to do that combination 6 times to end with a total of 30 stitches. So now we're ready to start round 24. And in round 24, the combination of stitches is going to be single crochet 4 and an increase. And you're going to do that combination 6 times. We've completed round 24 and we have 36 stitches in our round. We are now going to work rounds 25 through 29. And those rounds are simply going to be a single crochet in each one of these stitches. So for each round from 25 to 29, you're going to finish that round with 36 stitches. So now that we've completed round 29, your piece should look something like this. And now we're going to start decreasing. So we're going to start closing up the head a little bit. And in order to do that for round 30, we're going to single crochet 4 and then decrease. And we're going to do that combination of stitches 6 times, and it will leave us with a count of 30 stitches at the end of round 30. We're going to also single crochet 4 and then do a decrease, but we're going to do this only 5 times, and that will give us an end count of 25 for round 31. So now for round 32, we're going to do a single crochet 3 times plus a decrease, and we're going to do that one 5 times, and that will give us an end count of 20. Now for round 33, here we're going to single crochet 2 and decrease. And we're going to do that combination of stitches 5 times, which will leave us with a total of 15 stitches in our round. Now for round 34, we're going to do the combination of a single crochet and then a decrease. And we're going to do that 5 times. And that will leave us with a total of 10 in our count, 10 stitches at the end of our count. This is also going to be the time to stuff the head before we move on. Now that your body and head is stuffed, we can now begin to process the closing up the head of your bear. And we're going to do that by decreasing. So each of the stitches at the top of the head, we are going to decrease, and you will end up with 5 stitches. And then at that time, you will then want to slip stitch in the stitch after that, and then just finish off there and weave in the last of your tail, and your head and body will be finished. Now that you've completed all the components to your bear, it's time that we start to assemble it. You'll first want to sew on your belly patch, and then next you'll want to figure out where you would like to place your snout. Now I've already included the safety nose. I've already put that on before assembling because, well, it's the safety nose. But if you're embroidering it, you may want to wait until after the snout has been stuffed and sewn to the head and placed before you decide where you'd like to embroider that nose. You may find it useful to use pins in order to place the components of your face so that you can better sew it on and get an idea as to what placement looks like for you. And sewing on your components is as easy as using a whip stitch. Now that it's time to, you might want to consider what kind of eyes you'd like to use. You can either embroider them, or you can use safety eyes, or use these cabochon eyes like I've chosen to use here. In this case, I've just simply glued them on and gave them a moment to set up. And then once the eyes have had a chance to dry, that's when I move on to the next step. Okay, so for a quick rundown, this is the belly patch. And you just whip stitch that onto the front. And then of course we talked about the muzzle already. Now the eyes, these eyes I glued in. You may need to embroider or have some different safety eyes that you like better. This right here is the swatch, the brow swatch that you crocheted. And what I've done is I've folded it over the eyes in an M shape. And then I just sewed it on. Now the ears, you can place those wherever you think the ears look best. You just go ahead and sew them into and onto the head. I happen to like them where they sit right along the middle center part of the head and then back kind of diagonal from the eyes. I think that is a location that I really like for this particular bear. Now the ears, when you do the ears, it's easier or easiest to go ahead and sew the band on first. And then afterwards, you add the ears. You place them where you think they look best. And of course, the ears on the head as well as the ears on the feet are stiff enough to where they hold themselves. So you don't need anything extra other than just sewing them in place. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to discuss connecting the arms and the legs. Now this is technically a jointed bear, although we're not really doing anything major with the joints, but this is where the long doll needle comes into play. So when adding the legs, we're going to figure out about where we want the legs to sit. And it's just easiest to kind of work that needle through an opening. And then you figure out where on your bear you want this to go, and it comes straight across. And then you take your other leg and you kind of, you figure out where that's going to sit so everything sits evenly. And then you use this needle to draw your yarn through. Now, when you're drawing your yarn through, like let's just say this is my yarn. When you're drawing your yarn through, you want your yarn, at least in the middle of the bear and in the legs themselves, to be drawn through the same exact hole. And of course, it will be kind of latched on to the outside here, or I'm going to use buttons. So you can use buttons, they're optional, or you don't have to use buttons. And I'm going to use the buttons to act as an anchor point for that yarn. So when I pull that yarn through, my buttons are going to act as an anchor point, and I will have my joint so my legs will be movable. The arms are going to work in the same exact way. Now I'm choosing to use these kind of flat black buttons because I just happen to like the way they look on this style of bear. As you can see, I've included those in on this other bear as well. Now you may choose your standard traditional buttons with the 4 holes or the 2 holes. It's really up to you. It's what you want. It's maybe comes down to what you actually have available. Everything about this bear is made from what you have available, most likely already. And anything that you may feel that you're lacking, it's easy enough to run down to the local hobby store if you're in the vicinity of one and maybe pick up an item or two that you're missing for not a lot of money. So I'd just like to thank you for joining me with this tutorial today. I hope you found value in it, and I hope it was helpful for you. But it's time for me to say goodbye. So until I see all you wonderful and creative fiber artists again, stay crafty, stay amazing, and have a most wonderful weekend. Bye-bye now.